Hello and thank you, listeners. My name is Luke Mardigian, and you are listening to Be Insured, where we talk about business, leadership, and insurance. That way, on your worst day, when you need it the most, you will be insured. Most of you know who know me and follow me on my personal social media know that I'm pretty passionate about health, mental health. I just did a post on, on an anti-suicide post, I guess, suicide awareness post. And on the physical side, just love everything to do with working out and eating clean. And I think it's so important, especially as a business owner. So if you're a business owner out there, we neglect ourselves more than anybody else. It's important to take care of yourself. But you're busy. I get it. You have family. I have 2 boys, 8 and 10. And I feel like I'm being pulled in a million different directions, especially this time of year in the fall when football is going full roar. So how can you take care of your body and your mind while running a successful business? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And I'm excited to be joined by my co-host,
Eric Gestring with the Mardigian Agency.
And an amazing lineup of guests.
Tom Hamp, business coach with Advicoach in Michigan.
Dan Romigh with Redemption Fitness.
All right. So I want to go right into the, Tom, you're a business coach. What do you hear from your clients all the time, including myself, about their mental and physical health?
So the number one thing that I do as a business coach is protect my clients' time. And that seems to be a difficult endeavor, because if you're a business owner, the tasks in front of you never stop. So we pile it on top of each other. So what we try to do is the seven task rule, and that is try to only schedule your highest 7 priorities, and then when you're done with that, you're done with that. Because again, we know you can always be doing something in your business well into the evening, into the morning hours, and it starts to impact our personal space, time, relationships, all that stuff. So really, it's about making sure you're focused on those 7 priorities, big or small. And once they're done, they're done. Put the pen down, put the phone down, enjoy your family, get some rest, exercise, which Dan will talk about. That's where it starts and stops.
Oh, yeah. When I first started my business, it was the first time in my life that I wish there were 30 hours in a day. I'm going, man, okay, well, how can I get 30 hours?
Right.
Maybe if I don't sleep for a few days.
Which we've done that.
Yeah, and then, so there I am, sleepless, exhausted, working my tail off.
Well, don't recommend that.
The big things that I always say are balance and boundaries. Balance is one of the most difficult things, I think we can all agree. Balancing the family, the work life, the health, the mental health. I mean, Dan's going to get into it more, but also setting boundaries. I think Tom kind of brought it up a little bit briefly about setting restrictions on what you're going to allow yourself to do within a certain day.
Listen, this stuff won't show up immediately. It won't. I have business owners that have burned out, and everyone's different, but they grind. And you guys know what I'm talking about. You grind, right? 17 years in, I'm done. They're just done, because mentally, physically, there's nothing left to give. So when I have that conversation with them, how do we get either your business ready to sell, or to a certain spot where you can either sell it or pass it on to heirs? They don't want to engage. They're done. It's not going to show up immediately, but long term, we have to stop doing those things that really push us over the brink.
Yeah, those boundaries are really important. For me, mental health, I give myself permission to be okay with where I'm at. That's been my biggest change. And actually, Eric and I, we were just texting about that last week of for some reason, I always feel inside like I'm not where I want to be. No. So I need to keep going, right? Like if I was trying to walk to, the gas station, I would keep walking until I got to the gas station. Well, I want to walk to a certain size book of business in my insurance agency. If I'm not there, I got to keep going, right? No, and that's just, you have to take it as a marathon and not a sprint. And that's really hard if you're somebody who's super driven. And, for me, even my drivenness even poured over into my physical health of taking on CrossFit and Spartan races and all types of fun. But, Dan and I have both figured out that that's not the best way to keep yourself healthy. So, Dan, why does health play such a role in a business owner's life, physical health?
Yeah, so I think with fitness and working out, it gives you an outlet. So when you're stressed and work is piling up, like Tom said, if you don't have something to go and release that stress, like you are going to bottle everything up and it's going to pour over into your family. So if you have kids, like you're going to start snapping at your kids and not realize it. If you got, a significant other, like that relationship, you're going to put on the back burner because like if you're like me, like I'm the only one that works in our family. So if anything happens at the gym, like I have to be there. So if I'm not giving myself that outlet, if something happens, like I will just go straight into my laptop. And I mean, I literally did this last night. So like I find myself falling back into like these old, evil ways often. And one thing that really helps me is sleep, actually.
Yep.
So I actually set an alarm to go to sleep so I can make sure I wake up to go to the gym in the morning.
Yeah, I found out that if I get an extra hour of sleep and only do my workout for a half an hour to make up for that time that I slept, I actually feel better and I tend to get better results in the gym too.
Yeah.
Just from that extra sleep alone. And if I don't sleep, I weigh myself every day. Dan and I both follow similar programs.
Yep.
And if I don't sleep, like if I get 6 hours of sleep one night instead of 8 or 8.5, I wake up the next day and I'm 5 pounds heavier.
It doesn't make any sense. But yeah,
I didn't
same.
eat 5
I'm the
pounds
same
of
way.
food. I didn't eat 5 pounds. Something in my body saying, "Whoa, you're not taking care of yourself."
Well, I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty fairly certain that stress causes cortisol levels to increase, estrogen to build up in men. It causes tons of internal issues that if we're not using the healthy outlet of working out or doing some kind of physical activity, I think long term that could be really bad for a person. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I was in a mastermind group with a bunch of gym owners for a while, for about a year and a half after we started our business. And I think it was in January of this year, we started like this little sleep challenge. And that one thing really helped. There was about 60 of us that did this sleep challenge. And basically we all went to bed with enough time to give yourself 9 hours to sleep every night. And everyone's business almost doubled in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't realize how bad the cobwebs build up in your brain until you get caught up on sleep for like a week or two, and you're not on vacation, like you're actual.
Yeah, and you're just not, you're not focused. Like you can't focus on the big things that matter.
You're chugging caffeine like crazy.
Yeah, like Tom said, he narrows it down to 7 things. And like when I wake up, I just read a book called The One Thing, and I can't remember who it's by. But I have attempted to do the one thing every day that's going to move my business forward the most, and it ends up being 4 or 5 or 6 because I'm a business owner and everything piles up, like Tom said. But that one main thing, and like right now we're building out a big marketing campaign, so it's been just buried in my laptop. That one thing, getting that one object of that marketing campaign done for the gym, and I think that's super important to have a lot of focus on that.
Yep.
So then you can go and you can exercise. You have time to make your food. You have time to spend with your family, because that stuff is very important.
I think a lot of people have this misconception that you have to spend hours and hours in the gym every day.
Yeah, and you have to eat this like you can only eat okra.
No cheat
and
days.
green beans.
No, not at all. I mean, I have quite a few clients that don't actually come to the gym that live across the country, and they like the workouts I send them are 3-4 days a week, max 30-45 minutes, because they are business owners. They are busy. And the most important thing is the food. It's not the workouts. I mean, I have one guy that literally doesn't go to the gym because he hates working out. So he just walks and he eats really well and he takes care of himself. And, he feels better. His business is doing better, and that kind of stuff is good. And I'm not a business coach, but from a fitness standpoint, like that stuff definitely pours over.
Yeah, you exposed me to this first, Dan, the concept of NEAT, non-exercise activity time.
Yeah.
And how that plays a bigger role. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So my wife and I mean, my wife's pregnant right now, so we don't work out a whole lot together right now, at least, but we'll go for walks. Like this weekend, we went to the Holt Fest and we walked around. We probably walked 4 or 5 miles with our daughter, and just that kind of stuff. Like I was physically active without working out, and that, it's still exercise, if you will, but I'm not at the gym, bench pressing 4,000 pounds or anything crazy. Like I'm just moving my body with my family. And so like, it's kind of, it's that physical activity, but it's also a little bit of a mental break. It's that family time that we all need too.
Yep. So my therapist or psychiatrist that I worked with said that me going on those walks actually resets my mind. Yeah, so if you're ever in a
bilateral movement, so riding a bike, swimming, walking,
anything like that is going to reset you. So obviously the physical well-being and the mental well-being are very correlated.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're talking on this subject. Another thing that you mentioned, I think all of us have agreed, is sleep is huge. So one of the things that I've been doing that's different to help me with sleep is falling asleep is challenging because of the millions of things that we have to do the next day, right? So I've been writing down a list of things that so I can stop thinking about it and sleep.
That's good. I like that. I haven't done that.
I do the same thing with reminders on my phone. So if something pops up while I'm laying down, I just like, hey, Siri, remind me of this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you don't go to sleep because you're like, man, I got to make sure I do this and text that person, and all that stuff just piles up.
Yep. So to go back to the NEAT, the non-exercise activity time. So it's not only a stress reliever because you're getting outside. Obviously if you're in a northern state and it's snowy, it's not as fun to go outside. But maybe it's going for a swim at your local indoor pool or something. Your average caloric intake versus your average calories expended. I mean, it's really that simple.
Yeah.
You just have to. So if you don't want to eat less, you got to walk more. You got to work out more. If you eat less and you still walk more, then you're going to lose some weight.
Right.
And that was a concept that it's way too simple, right? Like a business owner, I'm driven. I'm like, no, I got to compete in CrossFit competitions and do Spartan races and be competitive. But no, it's just literally going for a bike ride with my family is what's helped me lose 40 pounds in 8 months.
And you're spending time with your family.
And I'm spending time with my family.
One crazy thing that really seems to resonate with a lot of the clients that we have is like when they tell me like, oh, I'm going on vacation. Like I always tell them like, okay, do you not pay attention to your bank account when you go on vacation? They're like, no, I still definitely watch my money. I'm like, cool. Well, then watch your food too.
Yep. Because
that is just as, if not more important. Like you can overdraft on your bank account, but if you have too many McDoubles, like you're gonna find yourself in the hospital eventually. Yep. So maybe I can't say McDoubles. I don't know, but
I don't know. Is that a thing?
I don't know. But
sounds amazing.
So anyway, like the whole point of that is like, you have to take care of yourself and you have to kind of guard what you're putting into your body. Both from an influence standpoint and a nutrition standpoint.
Yep.
And if you don't, you're going down a dark path potentially.
As a coach, Tom, what are some things that you do or teach for mental health?
Yeah, so I
for business owners in particular.
Yeah, I want to relate this story real quick. Jim Collins wrote a number of books, but one of his books, he talks about what we're talking about today. And 2 sled teams were going to go across Antarctica to cross the continent. One team was going at breakneck speed. So when weather was really good, they're going 40, 50 miles, right? Weather was bad, they were still pushing. The other team set a goal 20 miles a day. 20 miles a day. Why? In the good weather, even though they could push it more, to get their rest. In bad weather, they couldn't get 20 miles a day, but they went reasonable, still got their rest. The one team that went across at breakneck speed perished, every single one of them. The one team that went 20 miles a day, slow and steady wins the race, right? So we're all talking about this today, both in the mental game, the physical game, that type of thing. So that's the story I relate to a lot of my owners. You can't get it all done in one day.
Yep.
So set yourself those boundaries that you've talked about. Make sure that you get those done. Then put the pen, the phone, the laptop, whatever it is, down and go do something else for all that battery recharge that we're talking about. Get on a bike ride, go for a walk, go to a gym. Do those things that are going to keep you mentally sharp.
Love it.
Yep, that's really good. One of the things that I've done to keep my NEAT up, my non-exercise activity time, and to get away a little bit is something called Go Ruck, where you actually put a weighted bag on your back. It's rooted in military times, and you and a bunch of other really weird people go out and you're led by
walk forever.
You walk forever, yeah.
With some weight.
And what that's done is it's given me a reason to train. So I still have goals and I have things I have to attain, but it's I'm doing 1 or 2 of them a year. So I got 6 to 10 months to prepare for them, and then the events are 6 to 24 hours depending on which one I want to do and depending on the season of life I'm in. So check out GoRuck.com if you're interested in increasing your NEAT, your non-exercise activity.
I like stuff like that too, because as a business owner, like we definitely find ourselves in seasons where it's slow or struggling, like it's tough. And so something like that, like Luke and I did one together a while ago, 3 or 4 years probably.
Really long.
Where I forget how long we walked, but it was overnight and it was terrible.
23 miles.
Yeah. So like the last 5 miles, I was just like, this sucks. Like, why did I even sign up for this?
He goes, it was terrible.
It was horrible. I'd never done this before. And I was like, yeah, we'll do that. Why not? But it teaches you something. Every time I've done something like that, whether it's 10 miles or 25 miles, every time I learn something about myself. So it just gives you a goal. Like it gives you something to build off of.
It gives you some insight inside. Yeah. So really appreciate your insight today, Tom and Dan. Tom, how can they connect with you?
My website's advicoach.com/TM DanT-Hamp, and my phone number 599-2782.
And Dan?
It's danredemptionfitness@gmail.com, or if you just search Redemption Fitness on Facebook, you can find us.
And Eric?
And then obviously Eric of Farm Bureau for Instagram, and Eric Stephen Gestring on Facebook. Obviously, look up the Mardigian Agency on Facebook and Instagram and follow us, please.
All right. Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts on today's conversation. Message us on Facebook or Instagram at the Mardigian Agency. And thanks. We'll see you next time on Be Insured.